Welcome back to Salt City Counseling, everybody. Once again, my name is Scott Carter. I'm a licensed therapist here in the beautiful state of Utah. And in this video, I'm going to talk about a very, very tricky subject. One that probably not a whole lot of people are going to go after or touch. It is very sticky. It's a very, very sticky subject, and that is the issue of coaching when children are coached. And a couple of the ways that the couple of things that I look for on whether or not to determine if a child has been coached or not. And let me kind of get it out of the way what this actually means. Essentially, what it means is that a parent in a high conflict situation, in a custody or a divorce situation, will coach the kids on what to say, whether it's to a lawyer or a therapist or psychologist or a school official or the cops or whomever, Child Protective Services, coach the kids on what to say to those people in an attempt to alienate or incriminate the other parent falsely. Okay? Now, in other words, it's the effort from a parent to get their kid to say things that aren't accurate or true, and will teach them what to say and who to say it to, what language to use, and in an attempt to sway a court case, incriminate the other parent, get them arrested, get them in trouble, what have you. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the things that I look for in order to tell whether or not a kid has actually been coached, and some of the things that ought to be taken into consideration in that regard. Okay, and so again, this is a very sticky subject. It has a lot to do with behavior, has a lot to do with what the kids say and how they say it. And so I'm going to get into this and try and dissect this a little bit, try to give some indicators on how I can tell a kid has been coached or not, as well as some real life examples, some things that I have encountered personally, professionally. Before I do, if you're new here, help me out, man. Subscribe to my channel. I'm getting more and more viewers. I'm getting more and more subscribers all the time. And it would help me get to my first million, man. Hit that subscribe, like, share, comment, notifications. You know what to do. If you really like my content, you want to help me keep this content going for free, hit the tip jar down below. There's several links that take Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, etc. And if you have a viewer question, you can email me, scottc at saltcitycounseling.com. You will remain anonymous, and so yeah, there's an email address for you if you want to submit a viewer question and you're seeking a certain type of content. And so let's get into this. Let's get into this idea that children get coached for the purposes of what I've already talked about, what I've already described. Now, first, let me get this out of the way. I am very, very troubled that there are parents that can claim that they care about their children and engage in this behavior. This is completely despicable. To me, it is totally, totally despicable to get your children to lie in an attempt to sway things. And I have seen situations where coaching had happened, and I've seen situation where there was a claim that coaching happened, and I didn't believe that it was. And based on one main factor, and that is, do they show the emotion and the amount of distress according to the report that they are giving. Okay, now in one of the situations that I encountered where there was a claim of coaching, a certain parent had told me that the kids were coached to make claims against them. Now, when I talked to those kids about those claims of abuse, the kids had emotional breakdowns, total emotional breakdowns. Their emotions supported the claims of abuse. Hey, so tell me about this story. And suddenly there's like this intense fear. There's the kid withdraws, the kid looks down, the kid gets small, the kid balls up, the kid becomes afraid. In that particular case, the kids got really, really afraid to tell the truth. They said, I don't want to talk about it. And that therefore there's some resistance, right? Why the resistance? And the response was, because nobody else did anything about it, right? And so right there, when I've got a very emotional kid, I have a kid in distress. That to me shows that those claims are accurate, because when I brought them up, the kid became emotionally distressed. Now, kind of depending on the age, right? Coaching kids is not as easy as you think. But if you're going to coach kids, if kids do get coached, I expect the emotion to match the report, right? Because I don't care how good the parent is at coaching, they cannot tell the kid what to say and to also remember to show the corresponding emotion, especially if they're like 9 years old, 10 years old, whatever, right? And what's important to note in terms of age, there's really only a certain window I find in terms of alienation and coaching. There's kind of a small window. I generally find it's like between like 9 and 13 years old. Outside of those, it's like impossible to effectively coach the kids, right? Like you could get a 6-year-old, 7-year-old said, "Yeah, daddy punched me in the face. Did your mom tell you to say that?" "Yeah, she did." Right? The younger kids will completely throw that parent under the bus unknowingly. They'll totally admit that they have been coached. But the first thing that I look for are when the kids show, like if I'm approaching a certain report, did so and so hit you, kick you down the stairs, whatever the case may be, and the kids becomes very emotionally, they get in distress, then I have to believe that those reports are true. If the kid, however, if they don't show the corresponding emotion, then things become a little bit more dubious. For example, I had a kid who the parent was sitting next to him while the kid was telling me that the other parent had abused him. And he appeared bored. He looked like he was bored. He was just kind of sitting there. There's no distress. He didn't seem upset about it. And it was basically like, then I touched his stuff, and he got really upset, and he yelled at me, and he swore at me. And the kid just looked bored, right? And and then I said, what happened after that? And the kid looks up at the parent and goes, "I don't remember. What happened?" And then the parent goes, "And then he hit you." And then the kid goes, "Oh yeah, and then he hit me," right? Like right in front of me. Flagrant child coaching right there. It's completely flagrant. And I threw that parent under the bus in court. Yeah, I witnessed this coaching, right? If the kid, here's point number 2, how I can tell that a kid is been coached or not. That they're actually able to answer simple questions about the incident. A kid just doesn't flat out not remember what happened if it was a singularly traumatic event. They don't just look bored and then forget the details. I mean, that to me is just flagrant coaching right there. And I did actually throw that parent under the bus. I sent it off to court just saying, yeah, I witnessed this coaching. I witnessed this parental alienation right in front of me. It was terrible. It's just terrible. I couldn't believe it. Like, do I look stupid? Like, so point number 2 is that kids are able to answer basic questions about the event. So number 1, again, they show the emotional. If the event happened, they're going to be distressed over it. They may even be very, very reluctant to talk about it. Okay, number 2, they're able to give more details about the situation. They don't have like this fleeting memory. Okay, and there was a third point. Oh, that's right. Point number 3, what I look for if a kid has been coached, and that is the exact language, syntax, verbiage, vernacular. Man, I'm really breaking out the thesaurus on this one. The language that they use to describe the event or the incident. And essentially, right, it's like, so what happened? Well, he lost his temper and he closed fist punched me, right? I think I recently heard about a 6-year-old that said, yeah, he closed fist punched me. Okay, kids, like a 6-year-old is not going to use that verbiage. And they're also going to show that distress, right? If the kid was actually closed fist punched, then they're going to show that distress. They're going to appear distressed, but the verbiage that they use, like, is that how a kid would word it, or is that how an adult would word it? And so to me, that's an obvious sign of coaching, because like, if the parent in this case had sent the kid off to tell the teacher that he closed fist punched me, fortunately in this case it sounded like the teacher went for it. And I get it, they have to take this stuff seriously, but like, you have to look for what would a kid say, how would they describe it. So just as a quick review, I know I already went over this, but number one, the emotion that they show around the incident. Number two, their memory recall. Kids who have actually been through these incidents would be able to answer questions about it. And I just thought of a fourth point. But number three is the verbiage that they use. Do they say it the way that an adult would say it? Do they describe it in a way that an adult would describe it? I look for that. But oh shoot, I just lost it. The other part. Those are pretty useful in themselves. It had something to do with, I'm trying to put my train of thought back on the rails. It had something to do with being able to answer questions about the incident, give more details about the incident. Yeah, they're just able to answer more questions or give more details about the incident, instead of just, I just remembered, the consistency. If they tell the same story to 3 different people, kids if the incident didn't happen, the story will quickly lose its consistency. So I look for a consistent story as well. Okay, so those are some of the indicators that I look for, whether or not a kid has been coached in a high conflict or custody situation. Okay, all right, so that's gonna do it for this one. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Appreciate your viewership. We'll see you in the next one.